Every mode added to a transformer increases the complexity of its construction and design exponentially. Unless it's one of those half-assed base modes, those probably don't take much extra. So knowing that and seeing the compromises that triple changes often need to make to achieve 3 modes, what do you do if you're a mad enough bastard to make a bot with 6 different modes? Well, you see, there is a trick there. You just make every mode be Cybertronian, so they don't actually have to look like O. Titan's Return Sixshot came out in 2016 and he is a big boy, standing taller than modern leaders like Studio Series Grimlock and positively towering over the leader classes that are pretty much just Voyagers but with more bits. I really like how he looks. Those colours, the turquoise, the purple, the white, they all complement each other nicely. I mean, it's very much the colour scheme for a toy, but, you know, he is a toy. You can lift up his helmet, revealing a little headband with a 6 on it, well, a 6 in Japanese anyway, symbolising that he's a member of the Six clan, which is a whole thing in the Japanese continuity. Also, his guns have drilled barrels, and the Warhammer player in me can't help but appreciate that. Sadly, he is a little limited when it comes to articulation for a couple of reasons. One is that the way he's built just kinda gets in the way, his shoulders and tit wings restricting what you can do with his upper arms, for example. And then there's the fact that some of his joints are pretty loose, which is quite common for this figure, and at least mine isn't as bad as some I've seen. But he was new in the box when I got him. This isn't wear from excessive play, he's just like that. On the bright side, as he's from the Titan's Return line, his head can pop off into a little bot named Revolver, and you can combine Sixshot's gun to make a little seat for him. Isn't that nice? Still, none of that stuff is the main event, as it were. This lad's all about the alt modes. Going through the alt modes in no particular order, let's start with the tank. Like all modes, getting there is mostly just putting his arms and legs in the correct configuration and moving them around the body until they're roughly in the right place. And roughly is an apt word since not everything tabs in place all that well, or at all, something exacerbated by the loose joints that plagued this release. Still, the tank mode does its job. It's suitably chunky, and I can buy that this is some kind of alien mobile anti-aircraft gun. There's even a little cockpit to put Revolver in, which is always appreciated. Next up we have the car mode, and although it's a little goofy, it is perhaps the most well-engineered mode, as in everything firmly tabs in place, nothing is flopping around, and it even rolls pretty well. Plus there's space for Revolver to take another little pal with him when he drives around Aldi for his weekly shop. This is also the first mode where you can see the heel spurs interlinked together to form, in this case, the front of the car. It can be a little awkward, but it's one of those bits where you can't help but go, nice, when you do it. Next we have the Wolf mode, which is the one I want to like the best, but it is unavoidably a bit crap. Mostly because his back legs are just his robot legs bending the wrong way, but who am I kidding, this is adorable, I love it. I'm a sucker for G1 characters with animal modes. His jet mode looks pretty nice and brings his chest wings back into play, which have been hiding in these little notches inside the chest in the previous modes, which is a neat little feature that I hadn't mentioned up until now. And this mode contains a bonus open-topped plane mode by just turning it upside down. See, now they can fly to Aldi. Lastly, we have, well, allegedly this is a submarine, although it has been remarked that it looks less like any submarine ever, and suspiciously a lot more like an upside down version of the gun mode that his G1 toy had that this version replaced with the submarine mode. You can even put Revolver in this bit if you really want a trigger. Good submarine mode, lads. Okay, I know I said that the submarine was the last mode, but he does sort of have one more too. In the Headmaster's cartoon, they added a 7th mode called Wing Wolf that combined all his modes together, and just like the original toy, it is possible to wangle something vaguely like it on this one. It's a wolf with wings. Wing Wolf. They weren't poets. So there you go, 6, possibly 7, possibly more modes all in one toy. And I mean, yeah, it's pretty simple how it does it. Sixshot is basically just doing yoga and it happens to occasionally look like a vehicle. But it's also kind of fun to see what other shapes you can get him into. Plus the fact that your fan modes don't tab in properly doesn't make them feel any less official than half the real modes, since those don't tab in either. Honestly, if they'd have just added a handful of little nubs so things could slot in more firmly and stay in place, and made those joints a bit stronger, I feel like this could have been a lot better. But as it stands, I do still like him. He is a lot of fun to mess around with, warts and all. Big thanks to fellow YouTube person Blinded by Daylight who sent Sixshot to me. They have a really good channel, be sure to check them out. The video's over now, bye!